Hey everyone, I'm Anil. I'm here from QGITS and also OCHackerz, and I'm here with Lisa Kristine today. She's an amazing, renowned photographer, and she's been all around the world, and she's captured so much inspiring photography about the lives of indigenous people and really educated people on what that culture is about. So we're here with her today, and today we're here at TEDx Orange Coast, and she's gonna talk a little bit about some of the pictures that she's taken along her travels, and what the story is behind those.
Well, the body of work that I have here today is all on modern-day slavery. So while my work is really about indigenous cultures from more than 100 countries on 6 continents, this particular love of mine to sort of eradicate slavery through bringing about awareness is all enslaved people. So this is in Ghana, and these are slaves that are forced to work in illegal gold mine shafts. They actually go down these 3 by 3 foot shafts that drop down into the earth hundreds of feet. And they have to remain there 48 to 72 hours at a time. And many of them lose their grip and they just fall, these perilous falls down to the bottom. And actually, this one is in Nepal. And I did a lot of work in the brick kilns in both India and Nepal. And these people are forced to work 16, 18 hours a day, stacking bricks on their head, up to 18 in fact at a time. Each brick weighs 4 pounds. These people have absolutely no, obviously, health care, nor are they paid or given even breaks to sustain themselves during the day. They often die of lung infections and tuberculosis. This is my little hero, Kofi. He is a boy in Ghana who had been rescued from a fishing village. Children are frequently sold to fishing villages there as slaves because their tiny hands are nimble and they can pull small things out of their fishing nets. So he had been rescued, and I met him at a shelter where he was being rehabilitated. People have to be humanized again, and children have to learn how to play and how to really focus on just being as opposed to constantly doing some domestic work. I mean, it's incredible. This was made actually at a well behind the shelter, and he was pouring big buckets of water over his head. He's a beautiful boy. And now he's been reunited with his actual parents, which is lovely, with the help of abolitionists on the ground. And then we move back again to the mine shafts of Ghana. This was actually made 200 feet beneath the surface of the ground. And all they have are these primitive tools and these flashlights, which are tethered to their head with this kind of tattered elastic band. And imagine how frequently they go out. And if they go out, that's pretty difficult. So those are the 4 images that I have here.
How did you capture this? Like, you actually went down and physically took pictures?
I actually went down, in fact, not with abolitionists, they remained on the surface, but some people who were enslaved brought me down, 5 people, and we all went down together. And being in there, it was like you could just hear the sound of these tools, and a lot of coughing also, because they're constantly in the dust of all of this coming on. I had the kind, gracious slaves actually remove their headlamps and shine it on his face so that I could get enough illumination to make the exposure.
So your photos capture so much culture, beauty, and dignity in all of us. How did you get started with photography and expressing this?
Well, I was a young person that was always perusing National Geographics and big anthropology books that my mother had. And I think that I saw in these ancient cultures this solidity that I was very drawn to. And I remember standing in the middle of the street saying, when I'm old enough, I'm going to go meet these people. I'm going to find out what it is that they have that I can cultivate in my own life. And it sounds like this funny thing, but I actually remember doing it. And the camera came into my life around 11. It was much later than that decision, actually. But my aunt and uncle gifted me that camera, and I started making images of my friends and family. And though those are not very great images. It was my mere beginnings. I can see the spirit of what I do if I look at those pictures. So it was really when I was 18 and I went out into the world and I did a significant amount of traveling with my camera in hand that I returned, and I was pretty much hired outright by a photo agency. And at one point, I think I was in South America somewhere, and I had this epiphany that, whoa, somebody's paying me to do this. It had always been a craft and a love of mine, much like music and writing, and the idea that it could be a career really hadn't even dawned on me. It was really about how I could evolve my own life, right?
Yeah.
And so I quickly quit that and I just went on my own, and it's been my occupation really since I've been 18 years old. It's so much fun.
I'm so glad you did that. I mean, that everything kind of like happened for you in that manner, because otherwise we'd be so uneducated on all of the things that are happening in the real world lately. Like we'd be limited to what's actually happening now. You traveled more than 100 countries documenting indigenous cultures around the world in very remote places. What was this experience like in the extreme and not so extreme?
Well, I suppose all that sort of stuff is relative, but for me, I love a good adventure. In fact, if I am in the country more than 2 months, I get a little nervous. So, adventure can be very arduous and very challenging. There's no doubt that going out into the world, you're going to encounter sometimes extremely difficult experiences, and sometimes illnesses, sometimes just like difficulties. But the rewards of being in the midst of humanity everywhere, to me, it's the heartbeat of being alive. And so, utterly, for me, it's inspiring, and I can't imagine not having that grace in my life that I get from meeting fine people everywhere.
So today, most of us think of slavery as obsolete, but you help create awareness of modern-day slavery around the world. Can you tell us a bit more about the NGO Free the Slaves and your work with them?
Yes. Free the Slaves is an organization that's dedicated to eradicating slavery in our lifetime. And like you say, many of us have assumed that, well, that was all done with in the 1800s. And in fact, Free the Slaves couldn't get funding 10 years ago because nobody believed that. Nobody believed that slavery existed. And I think it's just the momentum of the last few years where CNN has taken a really strong look, and things have been, the media has come to show up. And frankly, my work and sharing it, people know now, they know, and they're horrified. In fact, there's more than 30 million people enslaved in the world today. That's more than double the amount of people taken from Africa during the entire transatlantic slave trade. I mean, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Right. So Free the Slaves is working with partners around the world, people that live in those countries, that are from those countries, so that the abolitionists are really serving their own community, and I think that's a really important piece to note. They are working in partnership with them. And it's important also to note that here in the United States we have slavery too. We have it in restaurants, we have domestic servitude, we have sex trafficking, gained often from, middle America shopping malls. Like, it happens everywhere, and no one is not vulnerable to that possibility.
Congratulations for receiving the Humanitarian Award. Where and when does that take place?
Oh, well, that's at the Lucy Awards in New York. They're going to be having a ceremony at Carnegie Hall, and it's October 27th.
So where can people learn more about you and follow you and keep up to date with all of the adventures that you're going on and all of the hard work that you're putting into bringing about awareness about all of these different areas?
Sure. People can learn more about my work on my website, which is simply www.lisakristine.com, and that's with a K.
Okay.
Kristine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Kristine, thank you so much.
Thank you.